In this video, we're going to be talking about some more details from the Nightclub update and the Business Consolidation DLC. From a couple reputable members of the GTA community. We're actually going to start with Wildbrick142, who said some pretty interesting things on this update itself. So as you know, in a couple of my previous videos, I've been talking about, I wonder who the guy or girl is going to be that leads us through our nightclub business venture. Would it be someone from GTA 4? Would it be someone from the Ballad of Gay Tony or Grand Theft Auto 5? Well, Wildbrick said this. It said, it seems unlikely since Tony didn't own Bahama Mamas. I think that if a character are to return, then Yusuf Amir would have a chance of being the contact since he talked a lot about franchising Tony's clubs around the world. Maybe he finally did and it ended up in LS. Not to mention that his character would probably appeal a lot to the average online player. Tony seems to have retired from the nightclub business by the end of the Ballad of Gay Tony, so it doesn't seem likely he will appear. But then again, it's Rockstar, so who knows, maybe they will decide he opened a new nightclub in LS. Now, I've stated that a couple people would work really well. Obviously, Tony Prince, I think Luis Lopez, even though that's probably a little too obvious, would work really well. I think Yusuf Amir is the most likely choice if they are going to bring someone back. Now, a lot of people, including myself, said Rocco Pelosi could play a major part in this update, possibly as a contact. However, since Grand Theft Auto Online gun running, GTA Online takes place in present day. So I know, it's a little bit confusing. For the longest time, Grand Theft Auto Online was supposed to be a prequel to the campaign, to story mode, happening about half a year before GTA 5 happens. However, gun running and Agent 14 confirmed that it's now in present day. In the gun running update, he said it's 2017. So because of that, Rocco would be dead. In case you guys didn't know, he actually dies in the campaign. So spoiler alert, even though this game's been out for 4 years, you should have known that by now. So it's unlikely that Rocco would work without completely screwing up the continuity and timeline of the game. Moving on, Wildbrick responded to a post that was in quotes, "You paid the DJ $500 for the night," referring to some of the bills you might inquire owning a nightclub. And he says, "Oh great, more bill pop-ups. If Rockstar is consolidating businesses at some point, they should also consider consolidating these pop-ups as well. Would be simpler to have one large pop-up saying, here are your bills for the day. Mechanic, $9,000. Utility, $10. Business staff, $10 million, etc., etc. Instead of a million of those on the screen. Same with the X series has been updated. They all updated at the same time and I couldn't care less either. Get it off my screen. I wonder how much the nightclubs will cost to run though. Probably a few thousand per day as with the other businesses. That's something I haven't even considered. And it's something I've kind of totally forgotten about, but that is true. If you own a nightclub, you are going to have costs per day. And those costs are going to increase if you add staff upgrade, equipment upgrade, utility upgrade. I would imagine it's going to be $4,000 or $5,000 per day just to have this business, like running a bunker, like having a vehicle warehouse, like having a hangar, which is kind of unfortunate. It's like you pay this exorbitant sum of money up front, like millions of dollars. And then when it comes time to actually having it, you're still charged for it like every day. So I think that's a little unfortunate, but I think it will cost $4,000 or $5,000 to run. And as far as everything else he said about the business consolidation stuff, I feel like that would be a perfect quality of life update. To have all the large pop-ups on the screen just become one. Because that is annoying, and it's like a little blip that happens every 5 seconds. Here's your bill, here's your series that's been updated. Cleaning up the clutter around the HUD would be a huge improvement. So I really agree with what Wildbrick had to say there. That would be a nice welcome addition to the game. All right, the next bit of information we're going to be talking about comes from FunMW2. He was responding to a question that was, so if 5 players in the same session all own the same most desirable club, will we be prompted by a buzzer screen like apartments or what? And he said, I think the small entrance before you get into the nightclub will be accessible from outside. It would be protected by guards asking for your permission or VIP ticket, aka invite. Once you're done with that, you will load the nightclub for your friend or for the specific player who invited you. So I hear this issue a lot every time someone brings up mansions, like how would it work if 4 people own the same mansion? Wouldn't that be a little bit awkward? For the mansions, yes, but for the nightclubs, I guess not so much. It works with offices, it works with apartments, it works with hangars. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that you will gain access to them outside and not necessarily have to like ring a doorbell on the door in order to get into the nightclub. So that's how I think it's ultimately going to work. Now, FunMW2 follows up responding to another question. They said, wonder how it will work as there's not going to be more than 5 or 6 of these nightclubs around the whole map. Maybe not even that many. And say everyone in the lobby owns one, then how would the game decipher who's the owner's nightclub? And FunMW2 says it will function just like our properties, a blue corona outside of your nightclub to access it. Dancing will act more like a mini game within the nightclubs. So to talk about that first part, the blue corona, that's like the little blue circle you see inside of your garage when you want to, reorganize your cars. Something very similar like that is going to appear outside of the nightclubs, and then we access it, sort of kind of teleporting us inside so we don't have to deal with multiple people accessing it from the front. And then he says dancing will act more like a mini game within the clubs. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I've talked about these in a previous video, how there was a couple mini games from the Ballad of Gay Tony and GTA 4. They were a lot of fun. Another mini game I hope Rockstar adds is a fight club. So you guys might remember that mission from the Ballad of Gay Tony where Luis has to go to like this underground fight club to like win money for his mom or something like that. That would be really cool to have into the game, especially if there was an underground part to these nightclubs, maybe where the vehicle storage is or maybe something else. That would be a really cool feature. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there, but that would be kind of awesome. Moving on, something very interesting looks to be happening. FunMW2 said this: Bahama Mama's interior appearing again is intentional. They removed it from the function that disabled it. It explains why some players managed to access it. I guess it's that important for the next update. I thought it's some bug that allowed the interior to load, but figured out it's intentional. So this really goes back to a month or so ago when the Bahama Mama's interior again started loading up in online, when it had been disabled for years now. And at the time, we really didn't understand why, but with this information that nightclubs are coming up next, now we know, and it probably confirms that Bahama Mama's, even though this is probably super obvious, is going to play an important role in the next update, as either a place where missions take place or a property that you can own. But FunMW2 has noted that as well, that it wasn't a bug, but this is something intentionally done by Rockstar. Now, the next thing I want to talk about has to do with the potential radio station and new songs. So one thing I didn't even consider Rockstar doing is maybe utilizing the new songs that they licensed for GTA 4 in Grand Theft Auto 5. So if Rockstar didn't want to have to go through the trouble of, hiring an artist to maybe do some of the recordings for a new radio station or go license new songs, maybe they will just simply reuse the ones that they got for Grand Theft Auto 4. Only problem with that is I don't know if those songs, again, contribute to the sort of nightclub dance music vibe that would almost be required for this update. And I know I'm making a big deal about the music here, but it's super important for that nightclub scene. And that's what made the Ballad of Gay Tony, so iconic, is the dance music that you heard not only during the missions while you were inside the club, during the opening credits, during the closing credits. So it is important, and Rockstar just have a lack of that sort of music in the game for GTA 5, so I think it would be important for them to add something like that into the game in terms of a new radio station or utilizing some of the songs that they just licensed as well. Moving on, we've got a tweet from FunMW2 I want to talk about. He was responding to this comment that was, this DLC will be biggest than Doomsday Heist or gun running. And he says, the Business Consolidation DLC is what's supposed to be big. I don't know if it's part of the next update. So we have to go back to an older leak that stated the Business Consolidation update is going to be one of the biggest updates of all time, is going to have the most drip feeding ever, and is supposed to last up until RDR2. Well, apparently that has been pushed back and is going to be coming out at some other time. Again, you would assume the nightclub stuff will be a part of this, so it sort of makes sense for that to be pushed back. But what this has done is made me question the size of the nightclub update. I mean, you would assume the nightclub DLC would be a big update, but maybe it's going to be a relatively small one. Now, I'm not saying small in terms of the size of like Southern San Andreas Super Autos, but maybe it's smaller than Doomsday Heist. I want to limit my expectations here. If I had to take a guess on the size of the update, I'm going to say something around the size of Smuggler's Run, which was still a pretty big update, But at the end of the day, it was the new business with the hangar and it was the new vehicles. And I kind of see the same thing happening here for the nightclub update. The new property or the new business, the nightclub, and then new vehicles, clothings, maybe a few new weapons and stuff like that. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this is a massive update, but we need to tame our expectations a little bit because it's the business consolidation one that's supposed to be massive, and we don't know if that's going to be a part of the next update or if it's being pushed back to a much later date. But anyways, that's all the information that I'm going to be talking about for you guys in this video today about the nightclubs and the business consolidation update. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What are you most excited for from these two updates? The more quality of life consolidation update or the exciting, nightclub update that's going to be arriving pretty soon. Let me know your thoughts, opinions more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go to enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.